So at long last, I finally managed to get my hands on the Yamaha XSR 125. What do we think of it? People have been asking for a while. I've been on multiple MT 125s, not managed the XSR until today. So let's have a look around. Usual way, we'll throw some specifications as we're going, but initial impressions, it looks pretty nice, this one. So there is the close-up. Now, I'm gonna say something here, quite controversial I'm sure, but if I was comparing this to the MT, I actually prefer the looks on this one. I do. And I'm not afraid to say it. I just like the classic looks of this one. I don't know about this exhaust yet. We'll see how that goes when we start it, but I like the classic styling of this. I like what they've done with the rear light at the back. Yeah, I like that. Ooh, now I'm not quite flat-footing. Probably see on camera I'm probably about a centimetre off getting my heels down. It's got an 815mm seat height, nice seating position. And the bike itself, it weighs not a lot. So this bike weighs 140 kilograms. So you can see pushing it uphill is not really an issue, as you would expect really. 140 is kind of like a heavy scooter, so it's not a particularly heavy bike, so it's a good one if you're downsizing. And at the back it's some Nissan calipers, so they've got a decent standard, a decent spec as far as the brakes go, and this has had an aftermarket exhaust fitted. We'll see how loud that is. I'm expecting it to be very loud looking at the back of it. Pegs for a rear pillion, but there is no grab handles. You've just got your strap there, or you're having a cuddle. It's got an 11 litre fuel tank. Most 125s will do around 100 miles per gallon, but let me know if you've got one of these, because from owning a Yamaha, I've got to say they're not particularly good as far as fuel goes, but 125s tend to be better. But let me know if you've got one, what sort of mileage are you getting out of a full tank? So Yamaha, they've been doing it for years, and because of that you can tell generally in the quality is very good. And you can see with the buttons here, they don't feel cheap, they feel very well made. Even just these ones here, they don't feel like just naff bits of plastic put on. So I like that. But as far as the buttons go, it is just an industry standard. We haven't got anything fancy on here. You've just got your indicators, your horn, your high-low beam, and then there's a flash. Right hand side, you've just got your engine stop start. So again, not a lot to play with. The screen, I don't know if you can see it particularly well on camera, but there's a bit of reflection, but not as much as the camera's making out. I can see the speedo perfectly well. You can see this bike has got 9,300 miles, and it's only a couple of years old. I think it's 2 years old, this bike, so it has been used by its previous owner. It has got a fuel gauge at the bottom, which is always good. You've got your rev counter going on the outside, and there is a gear indicator as well. Now, this bike is up for sale with Moto for £3,299, so I'm not quite sure that's a bargain. And I only say that because Moto is full of Benellis, Vosges, those types of bikes that you can pick up 125s for a little over £2,000. Now, I know these, being Yamaha, more premium, the 5,000 plus when they're brand new, so it's a bargain as far as a used Yamaha goes, but as far as a 125 goes, there are cheaper out there. So I want to see, is it worth paying the extra money to get something like a Yamaha XSR 125? We'll find out. One thing I am excited about, this bike, 14.8 horsepower, so just like the MT, it's right on the limit as what you can legally have in the UK for a 125. So yeah, let's go and see how it handles the mean streets of Warrington. Come on, let's go. Now, the sad thing for me today, which I would have loved to have done a speed test to compare it to the MT and the Vosges and the other bikes that I've done. However, the road I always use is closed. I don't know what the issue is, but it's closed. So I can't do that today. So today is just going to be a ride around on this bike. Now, I will check, I will see if the performance is good just because of general riding it, but I won't be able to put any league tables up to see if it's as fast or how it compares, should I say, to the other bikes that I've just mentioned. I can still give it a good ride around here. If I can find any faster roads, we'll see what we can do. But ultimately today is just going to be really getting a bit of a feel for the bike. Let's see what it's like. Let's see how the bike handles. Let's see how it compares to the other bikes that I've mentioned. What I want to find out is, should you buy something like this over a cheaper bike? So Into Moto, if you've watched my reviews before, you would know that Into Moto sell a lot of what you would call the budget bikes, the cheaper bikes. You can see all of the brands at the top that they sell, but big sellers in 125s are Keyway, Benelli, Vosges, and then you've got all the scooters. So is it worth paying more? Because that's what we're talking. These bikes are expensive, but as people keep reminding me, it's Japanese, it's Japanese, get what you pay for, all that stuff. So let's see. First thing I will say is the screen is suffering with a bit of sun glare. I can see what I need to, but only just. So it's not as clear as pretty much all of those other bikes that I've mentioned. It does seem to suffer a bit with that. However, what I will say is, looks wise, it's a beautiful looking bike, this, isn't it? I don't think you can argue with the looks of it. It does have a premium feel. Let's see how it rides. First of all, the mighty cobble test. Oh, that exhaust's loud. That is a loud exhaust. Listen to that go. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. So yeah, on the cobbles, I've got to say, it's comfortable, but it is quite a hard ride. The suspension does feel to be quite hard, like a sporty setup, but it's not uncomfortable. It's taking the bumps, but you can feel them. The exhaust is pretty loud. In fact, I would say very loud. Now, I'm a fan of louder pipes, I am. Some people aren't, and for some people this may be a little bit too loud for them. For others, it'd be like music to your ears, because it sounds like a bigger bike. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, you may well like it, you may well love it. Via your foot, it's nice and smooth, just a simple little click and you're changing gear. The clutch, however, that's going to take some getting used to. The clutch lever, it feels like the biting point is like pretty much at the end of the travel for your lever. So that's a bit different to what I'm used to, but I'm sure you could get used to it, don't you? Every bike rides slightly different. They all have a slight different feel, but I do like the nice sit-up position, and I like the comfort of the seats as well. 125 sneak in, it's got to be done. Don't know Yamaha 125, you've always got to do some sneaking, it's just the rules. I've already said today I'm not going to be doing any sort of speed test with this bike, just purely because doing a speed test in a different place to where I normally do it, I haven't got anything to compare it to. So yes, I will go on a faster road and open it up a little bit just to see what it's like, but ultimately I can't do my usual route, so doing it somewhere else just doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not going to do that. However, 30 mile an hour, it's a comfortable ride. We're now on a 40 mile an hour road. Let's get it up to 40 mile an hour. It gets to 40 mile an hour with no issues at all. Yeah, it gets there with ease. I'm little to no effort on here. Now, I would say, to be fair, these and the MT125s, they use the same engine, don't they? They have pretty much the same going on about them. They're just different styles. The MT's a modern take on this kind of bike, and this is more of a classic look and a classic feel. Now, it's just another option, isn't it? Now, I would say personally for me, I love the looks of these. I think these look better than the MTs, but I would bet anybody younger than me would say that the MT looks nicer because you'll like the more modern take of the bike, and I get that because different ages and different, well, we're from different eras, aren't we? But this one for me just is a lovely looking bike. Goes round the roundabouts very nicely. It's a lovely bike to ride, this, I've got to say. It is comfortable, it goes through the gears well. 15 mile an hour stretch, so I'll up the speed just a touch, get us up to 50 mile an hour, and it gets to 50 mile an hour as you would expect, really. There's no drama, it does it quite easily. You're not having to high rev it to get there. I mean, you could get there quicker. I'm just milling about today. Now let me just check the turning circle. Fairly thin road, this, leading to a country road. Yeah, that's really good. So from the edge of the road to here, full U-turn, so that's good. Can't quite do it in one lane, but the lanes are quite thin, so not a bad effort. You know it's going to be just like an MT125 as far as performance go, because they use the same power plant. So whilst I would have done a performance test in my usual place just to double check that, you know it's going to be very similar, if not identical, because they're both 14.8 horsepower, so they're both going to be there or thereabouts the same. Would I buy one? See, now that's a difficult one. I would say, from a personal point of view, I like these bikes. I like Yamaha MTs, I like the XSR. I think they're lovely bikes to ride. You can see where the extra money is when it comes to just the fit and finish of the bike and the premium touches of the buttons, etc. However, I'm a big fan of the cheaper bikes. I like Benellis, I like Vosges, I like P-Ways, I like those types of bikes, and they are cheaper than this. So I suppose it boils down to you personally. Do you have to have a Japanese bike? Do you have to have a Yamaha, a Suzuki, a Kawasaki, whatever? You know, do you have to have one of those bikes? Because if you do, you've got to pay a premium for it. As good as this bike is, and as good as the MT125 is, because they're both awesome bikes, I just don't see why you would spend thousands of pounds more for one. And I know there's going to be people out there that will, and they'll do it all the time because it's a Yamaha, it's a Suzuki. I get that. You know, your brand loyalty is commendable. But for me personally, I wouldn't. I'm not saying it's a bad bike, it's not. It's an awesome bike. The MT's awesome bike, XSR, awesome bike, brilliant 125s. I can see why they are up there as the bikes that most people lust for, because they are the bikes to have, aren't they? The Yamaha 125s do tend to be the bikes everyone wants. I personally would just rather buy a cheaper one that'll do pretty much the same, or in the Vosges R125's case, better performance. But I'm not taking anything away from this bike. This is the XSR 125 review, so I know I'm tailing off a little bit, but yes, I would recommend one because I think they're very good bikes, and at this price point it's a saving of a couple of £1,000 on a brand new one. So yes, this kind of makes sense if you're looking for a Yamaha XSR or even an MT. To be fair, you should have a look at this because it is a nice looking bike. But if you are looking at a bike like that, then yeah, don't rule it out. It's a good bike. It's a bargain. But if you're comparing it to the cheaper bikes that are on offer, then no, I suppose it's not a bargain, is it? Because there's cheaper bikes out there. In fact, for £1,000 less you could buy a brand new 125 from Vanelli or from Lexmoto or from Kiwi or from all of these other bikes, and this has got 9,000 miles on the clock. So yeah, it's not high mileage, but you could buy a bike with, you know, 1 or 2 miles on the clock or 0 on the clock. You know, you're talking a brand new bike you could buy and save £1,000. So from that point of view, I would say get your thinking caps on and have a think. If you have to have a Yamaha, then yeah, it's a good option. It's a very good option for you if you have to have a Yamaha. If you don't have to have a Yamaha and you're just looking for a 125, then look at the other brands first. Go and check them out. See how you feel. See how you feel when you sat on them. It's a very confusing message I'm sending out today, and it's just purely because I think I've been around the cheaper bikes now for that long that I look at the more expensive bikes and I just wonder why would you spend all of that extra money when you could get something cheaper? It's just that. I'm not saying these bikes are bad, because they're not. They're very good bikes. They really are very good bikes. Brand snobbery comes into it all the time, and I get that as well. And if you just have to have a Yamaha, then yeah, this is a very good one. The MT is a very good one. They're all very, very, very good bikes, and I would recommend them. Of course I would. I would most definitely recommend this bike as being a very good bike. It's a lovely bike to ride. Everything works as it should. The exhaust, I don't know, that personally not for me, but if you're looking for a bike and you're going to get an exhaust, well, this is already done for you, isn't it? So yeah, if you're interested, it's for sale at Moto. I'll put a link in the description. But as I've already said, for me personally, yeah, I'm not a brand snob, and I'd be going for one of the cheaper bikes. I just think they make more financial sense. But I know there's a lot of people out there that money's not really something that you're considering. You're thinking, I want a Yamaha, I want an MT, or I want an XSR, and you just want one because you like the style. And fair play, I'm like that as well. If I like the bike, I'm going to get it. And for those people, I would say these are very, very good bikes. And as proven with this one, 9,500 miles on the clock, or less, but 9 and a bit. but it's a nice bike to ride. It's comfortable, it goes well, it's a good bike. I just still can't get my head around why people buy these brand new for £5,000+ when you can buy 2 Vojar 125s or 2 Keyways or 2 Benellis. I can't get my head around that. But as I've said, confusing message, but if you're interested in one of these, it's for sale at Intermoto. I don't know how long it'll be here for, because the Yamaha Suzukis, they tend to go out very, very quickly. But I'll put a link if you want one. But for now, laters.